Hello. Now, if we don't get throttled with this lecture, I don't know what we're doing right. Um, this is Introduction to VPLs, Visual Programming Languages. There's Maximus P, there's Touch Designer, there's processing. There was a whole bunch in the 90s that were at the fledgling state. I'm trying to put brainwaves on Touch Designer. There's some incredible work people are doing with dance and VPLs. I want to do a couple of video on VPLs. I've asked you to download Max MSP from Cycling 74. Um, I'm not gonna. I have too many windows open. I'm just gonna get killed here. So, um, let's start. I've asked you to, and actually, let's start looking at this audio reactive patch. The final things are called patches. And this is audio reactive to volume, amplitude. I think there's a pitch thing going on with color. So this is a VPL, gang. With the VPL, like code in general, now we have code making code, AI making code, as you saw in that movie, the social dilemma. This is one of the codes that come ready made, and so this is what we actually worked with in Earl Earl Lear, and one of the interns there, worker, brought in his theremin, and we said, "Oh yeah, theremin, which is that instrument you play with your hands, and picks up your electric charges off of your skin." And we had this thing in the background, like a distant thunderstorm about to happen to King Lear in the very background, kind of sort of like a tornado about to happen. Through this, we can change. This is another, and don't be scared, but this is the guts. This is what we see. Duh, this means go. These are patches. I forget what these call it, but they're standalone patches for people checking out different artists, different coders, different ideas. There's a number of patches on AI, which I'm totally turned up on. Now AI in the arts. Of my research, my position at the university as a creative researcher is one very much like a scientist, kind of, except for the arts and humanities. It's solved inductively, not like sciences. It's solved by positing hypotheses about the natural world and working forward in order to work backward and get it verified in experimentation. There is some deduction involved, but what I'm often working on is just a curiosity that drives all of this. This was very curious. We used it. We now have the final film of the Lear Earl piece. It was 4K, so it came in at 80 gigabytes. When you're dealing with film nowadays, gang, with these monster cameras, it's just humongous. I recently, from Amazon 2 nights ago, got one of these. I cannot speak more highly of these things. It's a solid state SanDisk, essentially like a thumb drive. Remember those? That takes on 1 terabyte a pop or two. 1 terabyte is now 130 bucks. I think that I got this. They're worth it. To travel, they're somewhat water resistant. You can put it in your pocket. You can move around with it. I would duplicate the data. But Professor, why are we dealing with cloud servers and cloud memory? Because that's fallible too. I know we're dealing with cloud servers for these classes. I always do. For 18, 20 years, I've been using cloud sources, namely Google Google Drive, to store your stuff and to collaborate with it, to look at it, to evaluate you from this, all of this stuff. But these, having something in your pocket, something ready, something that's not going to get throttled coming up or down the highway, is good. Getting back to VPLs. I've prepared some videos of use of VPLs in performance art, in installation, in what else? In everything, in architecture. You'll see the film once I post it of Lear Earl as we did it, and this was an opening effect to sort of resemble the storm that King Lear goes through on the heath, the famous scene where he's whittled down to nothing, discussions of nothing, and then it was audio reactive to this crazy theremin. Sometimes I played it. This person knew how to plink out tunes with it, but I wasn't interested in that. Just wanted it as a storm feature. Kind of worked. We experimented with it. It was juicy. These are new things called package managers on it. Come free with your thing. The one I'm showing is by Matsuto Tsutsui. A lot of brainiacs just do this stuff. Here's Matsuo's thing. I love these audio reactive things. When we get into DAWs and hooking up DAWs with a MIDI instrument, I have a MIDI saxophone over here. I have a real sax, a MIDI sax. I've got keyboards. I've got the the launch pad, which has these squares on it and so forth. But this is what a lot of these people have left on it. Some of I don't. This guy's very famous, Jean-Marc Pelletier, who teaches at NYU, and what's that famous expensive grad school, the ITP at NYU. Most people emerging from that are looking for jobs, and if they don't get it in the movie industry or whatever, they have a difficult way of paying back their student loans. A story of our times, right? Excuse me. A lot of these deal with esoteric themes and coding. I don't know about. GL3 is graphics, a thing that goes on. But what are we doing with performance? We use that audio reactive thing. There are tons. I'm a curious guy. Grew up in the woods in Minnesota, so I love to approach everything as a tabula rasa. I try not to waste time by setting an alarm or cooking timer. But I poke around and go like, I'm a little bit dilettantish, but that's okay too. It's better than binging Netflix. And I go through these. So let's do an assignment. We have this cool audio reactive thing it's already done and so forth. We have objects, we have messages. We can press command and click that off, and you see little buttons show up. And now this thing means we can move some of these objects around. Messages, objects, setting up mathematical relationships, doing some tweaking up and down. These are messages, these are objects. The round things are clickable buttons and so forth. Later we'll get into looking at what? Looking at AI, machine learning. There's some interesting tropes going on. Again, let's just say this 100 level class is about looking for tropes, creating them, finding that aha moment where you created it yourself and all your friends and colleagues turn around and go like, what? Huh? And they find it interesting and juicy and beautiful and all that good stuff. So clicking through the audio reactive, ba, more circular, ba, definitely colorful, ba, like going on a jet airplane, ba. This stuff looks great with a 4 short throw projectors on scrims doing some basic thing. I got some gigs in New York coming up doing just that. So it'll be fun. I hoped eventually to get my hands on some short throws and try that out. Working with Mihao, who used to be co-owner of Jump, one of the first VR places in the country, and that was in Lower East Side. It was a fun place. In addition to just the HTC VRs and Oculus, and that there were, in his loft area, there were ways to experiment and see what people are doing with media and performance and expression. Let us go on. So what's under the hood on this thing? We see this that Matsui designed, and let's go to creating a new one. So we go Command N. Command N gives us that. Oh my God, it's too simple yet too complicated. What am I doing here? Let's just say we're going to take these beautiful textures that a student did. We're going to mix them together. This is what I did with Earl Lear too. I combined 50s stuff with a sense of the Elizabethan, or at least the Storm, and progress that way. Let us create a mixer, a video mixer, custom software. First thing we do is, this thing is so advanced now with all of these preset things. It's like DAWs now, digital audio workstations. I'm still a big fan of the cheesy, sleazy, good, oldie but goodie GarageBand, because I can get MIDI in on that with the saxophone, and I can play with it and experiment. Sometimes we call this hacking. It's just experimentation. And you can do it with a laptop, a projector, a MIDI, and a bunch of free and groovy software. This software will only last a month. I think it's, for education one, it's $150. I've been teaching this for years. Am I good? No, I'm not good at it. Can I work my way around it? Sure. Do I like the big community online where people have left patches out there for free? Yes. Am I a big fan of GitHub? Oh yeah. All of these really wonderful geeky things have happened. I think we're seeing about 5-10 years ago, 15, 20 even, there was a geek fest where people, love to dig into this stuff, love to fall down rabbit holes, love to make their own custom software. I think we're getting so many things prepackaged. It's like eating processed food, right? That people are no longer willing to experiment and have those struggling geek moments of eating Cheetos and drinking Mountain Dew and just doing line code. I don't do line code, but this armature here generates line code. Blah, blah, blah. Here we go. Let's do something. Right? For your assignment, all we have to do is go to Visi. Click on Visi once. We see all of this stuff come down. What are we doing? we're making something. We have inputs, we have archives. We have the archives of video textures. I asked you to go out in nature and go online and get unnatural things, and I want you to come back and one of these things, I want a webcam, and if we don't get throttled, I'm going to be so surprised. So here goes. Let's do input. Input, which would be this term grabber is another way. Let's see if it does it. PCs don't work this way, but Macs do. They can multitask this way. Let's pull grabber over here. There it is. And there's a grabber. Does it work? Yes. So I see myself on QuickTime. I see myself in Maximus P, Jitter. All's working. And let me back out a little bit by Command key minus. Let's go back. Oh, hold on. I'll have to end this right now. We'll continue it. Wow, we're at 16.